Hello, listeners, for Change Crash Investigators. Today we're going to talk about WIIFM, or what's in it for me. Is it still required?
Was it ever required?
Good point. Was it ever required? Let's explore this in detail. Jen, what's your initial views on this? I know you have some.
I always have views, let's be honest. WIIFM, I feel, is probably the biggest misconception in change, because I feel like people, we know the neuroscience that sits behind the human brain.
Yeah.
We are on alert, looking for discrepancies and looking for uncertainty and things that don't add up. WIIFM, oftentimes, is us trying to put a positive message on what isn't always a positive change.
Nope, absolutely.
And humans see through the BS really quickly.
Yeah.
So I feel like early on, there was this need to sell the change to people. And it started about thinking about like the psychology of sales and this, and marketing and everything like that. And that's great because it does help you understand what moves people towards something or away from something. But I also think that then sent us on the wrong happy path of what to think about when we're constructing communications. Yeah,
and I think it kind of forced that there has to be a silver lining here somewhere. Where is it? Whereas we know in a lot of change there actually isn't.
Yeah.
This is what we're going to have to do, and this is the reason that we have to do it.
And this is the reality.
And so sometimes there is just that. So it's not like when somebody goes, oh, sorry, you've got cancer. What's the positive in this? What's in it for me? So sometimes that sort of change just needs to kind of work stuff through, and organisation, I'm being very flippant, but organisational change is the same. Sometimes there actually isn't something of benefit to that particular individual at that particular time.
Yeah.
And you just need to call it. And
I think the drivers that we have in our brains, we have, whether you're following the SCARF model, the safety model, or, Pepe, there's so many models in this space. I think the commonality is our brains crave certainty.
Yeah.
Our brains crave information. We just want to know what's going to happen to us and when, so that we can manage our lives.
Yeah.
Right. And we will fill in the blanks if that information isn't forthcoming, but we will also make it up, and probably doomsday it. Ruminate down the worst path possible because we want to plan for the worst case scenario. I think that's a natural tendency that a lot of humans have. And I was like, people are so excited about change. Yes, there are some people who, they are probably not the majority of people though, right? So when we're constantly trying to put a positive spin on something that doesn't always have a positive outcome, then people are really going to quickly see through that, and we lose their faith. We lose and winning that back is a lot.
Almost impossible. Once you've lost it, and it definitely that trust element, and that I think is reflected. We've mentioned it a few times. It's really important to get that trust to make change successful, and that is a perfect way of completely eroding it. When you look for a silver lining in something that actually doesn't have a silver lining for that particular individual, might for the organisation, but not for that particular individual. And then, as you said, they see through the bullshit, so then you've immediately got distrust.
Yeah.
So they're heightened even more now. So they're looking for that incongruence even more so, because they can tell you're just bullshit.
And they're going to read into all the leader statements, all the columns, all the emails, all the posters that that people put up, because they're going to be looking at it from the starting point of distrust. And so, what's a better way?
What is a better way? We haven't quite worked the acronym out, have we? It's not as smooth as the what's in it for me.
Not quite as smooth as a WIIFM. For me, it's what does it mean to me? But you had a really good observation of...
It's just sometimes what does it mean? Because I always tell when you go through organisational restructures, so many of them, it's insane. Some organisations do it every year. I always say to the leaders, the very first thing they're going to do is, what does it mean for me?
Yeah.
So how am I impacted or not? The very next question is, who else is people that I know impacted?
Yeah, what does it mean?
Like,
for my
it's
friends?
the almost next question. So the what does it mean becomes more important than the, what does it mean for me? Sure, that, naturally people will go there, but I think it's actually, what does it mean? Because it could mean many things, and often change is not just, it means this one thing and this one thing.
It's so complex.
So don't worry, it just means you've got to move from here to here. That's it.
Yeah.
Oh, and then you've got a new computer you've got to use, and then
you've got to use a locker, and you have to check in for your desk, and if you don't, you get bumped. And it's a lot more than just moving offices.
Yeah, exactly. So, so I think that what does it mean is probably the...
So,
what does WDim? WIIFM. Yeah, WDim. That's it. It's really not as easy as WIIFM, is it? WDim.
A little bit of
WDim. Maybe we just need to say it enough, and then we'll get a little bit more comfortable.
WDIM. It sounds like
WDIM.
It sounds like a radio station. Does anybody still know what a radio station is?
WDIM.
That's it.
That's it. We've got it.
We're having far too much fun. But I think with your WDIM, you need to start with empathy.
Oh my gosh, yes. Sorry. I'm still laughing about the WDIM.
It's like a stupidity hour. It must be at 4:00 in the afternoon. I think.
There we go.
I think when you start with empathy, you're starting from the basis of human understanding, and that in and of itself will tell you there is not a WIIFM.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
The truly putting yourself in their shoes and going, okay, what does this mean?
Yeah.
WDIM. And that means you have to have empathy, because that is literally the definition of empathy, is being able to put yourself in somebody's shoes, being able to understand their perspective, how they might be feeling about a particular thing.
Yeah. And there's an interesting conversation around empathy versus compassion.
Oh yeah, okay.
And somebody was saying recently, I can't remember who it was. It was a neuroscientist. They were questioning whether empathy is the right track for people, because with empathy, you sometimes absorb their and I, as an empath, I'll definitely feel when you walk into a room and you can feel it.
Absolutely,
right? Funerals crush me.
Right.
Like I try to avoid them as much. I am absolutely spent by the end of the funeral, because I'm absorbing everybody else's energy. I have conversations with Stigma, like, oh, that was so great. Therapy. And I'm like,
excellent. Now I'm going to take that all home with me.
Get this out as my box, and I rage bake, right? Because I just need to get other people's energy and anger out of me. But rage bake. Rock up with 36 cupcakes, you know. She had a bad day yesterday. But compassion is, I can understand your position and what you're going through, but I don't necessarily need to absorb all the energy with it. I thought that was a really interesting framing of it. So starting from a point of maybe compassion. I know I said empathy earlier, but maybe it's actually compassion.
I think it might have even been Brene Brown. I remember seeing something about that. Because I definitely relate to when you put yourself in somebody else's shoes, you often absorb the energy. Funerals, I'm generally okay with, but casinos, the desperation that leaks off people, I just feel like I need to have a shower. Like, I just feel so,
There have definitely been some workplace meetings where I felt like I needed to
So I get that. So that, not taking it on, not taking the emotion on.
But being able to comprehend it enough to go, I need to have some element of compassion here, and there is no good outcome for this person.
And to know how to behave then as a result. So rather than go, oh, I get it, I've been made redundant before. But no, you haven't been made redundant in a global financial crisis.
In a cost of living crisis, with political uncertainty, geopolitics.
And you're a white middle-aged man, so you're bound to get another job, so what the hell?
Exactly, you don't fit the demographic.
So that full appreciation of that without just kind of, I suppose it's intellectually. So intellectually,
Yes.
having that compassion, empathy,
Yep.
but not actually, really feeling
Taking
it.
it
I think
on.
you need to feel, but not absorb it. So it's
Yeah.
like a fine line between the two where you take that energy on.
Yeah, I did work with a leader who we were merging two organizations. There was about a 50% head cut across the two teams we were bringing together on these two geographies, and he was definitely feeling it way too much. Like he was way far in the empathy zone, which was amazing as a leader because he cared, right?
Yeah,
and it showed he cared, and it was guiding everything. We used the SCARF model for every decision we made, every communication we put out, and we actually lifted engagement through the process.
Wow.
But he had a heart attack. And I honestly feel like, in the middle of it, honestly feel like he broke his own heart.
Yeah.
Like, the empathy, like the stress,
Taking too much
of it on himself. And I do feel like there was a physical connection there, because he was too emotionally caught up in the lives of, which is the sign of a good leader. Like, I understand, they just are going through cancer treatment and their parent just passed away and their child is sick and they're pregnant and like, there's so many nuances to humans, and we aren't just who we show up as at work. There's there's stuff else out there that we need to consider. But because he knew so much about his team, it was affecting his ability to make decisions.
Yeah. And that would make it really, really hard because you'd be like, well, what happens if that, that happens with that person and this like, So
that extrapolating of the consequences.
Because I always thought compassion was the stronger of the senses rather than the empathy. Like you'd appreciate when somebody's in that position, you can be in their shoes. I thought compassion was kind of like the next layer, but I think it's a really good caution for people to not necessarily take on how somebody is feeling around something, but to be humanistic enough to be able to appreciate how it might be affecting them.
Yeah, for sure.
So, Dr. Google says, we're looking here at the difference between empathy and compassion because we're also thinking sympathy and how that might work. So it says, while both involve responding to other people's emotions, each has a different focus. Empathy is characterized by awareness of other people's emotional experiences and attempt to feel the same emotions from their perspective. So that's what we don't want.
We don't want to absorb
taking it on too much. Compassion is characterized by the desire to take action to help the other person. So,
which I think is a nice way of describing what a change manager does.
Yes.
Or a change leader does.
Yeah. So let's now look at empathy versus empathy versus compassion versus sympathy.
Oh, perfect.
That's the one we wanted all along. So let me do this again. Empathy is feeling with someone, connected with and sharing their emotions as if you were in their shoes, while sympathy is feeling for someone, pitying or feeling sorry for their misfortune from a detached perspective. So the compassion one is moving them into action. That's the one you want.
I think that's what we want.
Yeah. So I think you're right in the first place. Yeah, you. Was there any doubt?
There was a moment of doubt.
There was like a tiny weeny moment of doubt. But who did it? Who's okay, cool. Excellent. Brene Brown.
Brene Brown said it. There you go. Probably just quoted many, many times since then.
Yes, there you go. Now we have the answer.
So if we then look at some of the science that sits behind WIIFM and what we should be doing instead, what are some of the things that jump out at you, knowing what you know about the various models that are out there?
So I think the toward and away response is not a bad one from an initial focus because you want to avoid pain, you want to avoid sadness, you want to avoid loss, like you want to avoid that. And if there is a toward, and there may well be a toward, what does that look like and how does that work? So I think it's helpful to know what the poles are. But sometimes it's just a matter of going, this is it.
These are the facts.
These are the facts. This is what is happening. This is the situation. What does it mean?
Yeah.
Is then the next part to go,
What
okay.
can you do about it? What I can do about
Yeah.
it? Yeah. What the steps are? So in this uncertain time, here's the certainty we can give you.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that becomes even more critical, and the compassion becomes even more heightened then. So, let's just take redundancy, for example. So, reducing staffing, blah, blah, blah. So you need to tell them what, why is it happening?
Yeah.
It's not you. It's, the cut and thrust of the...
it's the role, not the person.
Role, not the person,
Yeah.
definitely. You need to tell them things like dates so they know what's happening, and then what their next immediate action might be. And it could be, here is some material to have a look through.
Yeah.
Come back with questions.
And I think if you look at then some of the other drivers we have, we love autonomy. Well, I mean, there's a driver for some, I'm 9.8 autonomy. There's 10, others are 1.2, but there is an element of autonomy that most people expect, need. So if you then look at the need for autonomy, here are some choices you can make.
Yeah.
You can engage with the EAP this way. You can call this person. You can meet with me. You can do an expression of interest for future roles. You could reskill. Here's a training allowance. There's choice you can give people, even though their choice to leave might not be theirs.
Yeah.
But what they do with action after that can give them autonomy on stuff that stuff they can control versus stuff that they can't control.
And using the SCUF model as well, the fairness is important because it's not them, it's the role.
Yep.
So that is a really important differentiation to go, it's not you. Oh, sorry, not fairness was not the one I was thinking. I was thinking status. So
right.
Not
both,
saying
actually.
Yeah, I think it would be a bit of both. But being saying it's not you.
Yeah.
It's the role that's being impacted, associated with that as well. So.
And I think making sure that when it does come time to exit, it's done with grace and dignity, and given them, the accolades that they're due, and that their contribution is recognized.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. And I think that is a really important component of it. And that the process all the way through is fair and transparent.
Yeah.
And that heightens the certainty, but also the fairness component as well. It's fair, it's transparent, it's clear, all of the other ways. And I know for people like us, the onus is literally every single word. What would that might mean? That could mean that. That could mean that. Okay, no, let's change that word for something that's going to be a little bit better. Have we structured it in such a way that it flows easy for people, that they don't get confused?
Yeah.
Like the onus of making sure that those messages are super clear.
Yeah, and authentic.
Yeah.
Somebody shared with me recently a chief's message around a restructure that was happening. And I'm not an AI genius by any stretch of the imagination, but I can tell when AI writes a sentence.
Yeah.
And that whole letter was written by AI.
Wow.
And I just thought that's such a lost opportunity for that leader to build connection.
Yeah.
Because that message wasn't just going out to impacted people, that was going out to everybody.
Yeah.
And they now are known as the chief that uses AI to write really important messages.
Yeah.
Right? Rather than going the chief that was authentic and just showed up and used awkward language because that's how they talk.
Yeah.
Right? Really quickly, M dashes give it away.
Yeah.
Like, I know some people used M dashes before AI used M dashes, but if there's 3, 4, 5 M dashes in your columns, pretty sure AI wrote it.
Yeah.
I even say that to my students, and they still do it. But I think that really interesting goes into the psychosocial risk space as well.
Yeah.
And we started to see, the regulator in New South Wales for the first time get involved in big model restructures and redundancy situations, calling out organizations that weren't authentic and fair and transparent in their process and stopping the program, right? So I think it's getting real for a lot of organizations, and the need to be authentic is and that true, authentic, transparent consultation, for instance, you're going to get called on it, especially in Australia now with the legislation.
This is a complete aside, so let me just jump over here for a second.
I love these.
Yeah, you know the way my brain goes.
Let's go.
I was reading this, you mentioned before in some of our conversations that LinkedIn can be really awesome and really terrible at the same time. So this is an example of it being awesome. So I read about this company, this CEO of a company who decided that he would make sure that everyone was paid the same amount. So every single
Like regardless
employee,
of role?
regardless of role.
Oh.
I know. So reduced his own salary down to 70,000, and then increased everybody else's to 70,000.
Wow.
He was lambasted, told, don't do that. You know, it's going to be an absolute mess. You're going to end up in the toilet, blah, 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 blah. Like, just completely, stupid thing to do, blah, blah, blah. What has since happened is the company has tripled in size.
Wow.
They've made massive amounts of profit. And there's generations now of people that have got their own home, that have got a living, they're living really well, that then the wealth is kind of like making the whole community kind of better as a result of this.
Yeah.
And, I think it's in the US, but 70,000 is not a lot of money, but that can make a massive difference to people in terms of the way that they do that. So you don't have to do it just the way everybody else is doing it. It's probably where my message is going from.
It's so, that's why I was like a sidebar off the sidebar, because I know you love books. The book Cast by Isabella Wilkerson, I think is her name, is really interesting because she talks about the generations of systemic issues that exist she was specifically looking at it in America, where slavery has not been in existence less than it was in existence.
Wow, okay.
And, at the time of writing, which was a few years ago. And that's just systemic racism and the systemic welfare issues that exist in those societies because of exactly things like that, indiscriminate pay gaps that, you deserve this because you're that, but they deserve this because they're this. And it just passes the generational wealth issue, or welfare issue on generation to generation because of that. So if that organization and that leader is able to tackle that, like at its absolute heart of it, and go here's you can now afford a house. That just fixes so much of the systemic welfare issue that society has. I mean, we have it as well in Australia, but the book was specifically based in America.
And you even, I totally agree, and I've seen lots of examples where they kind of talk about, the compounding effects that it has from a neuroscience perspective. If you don't have enough food, if you're in an unsafe environment, all of the impact to learning, developmental capabilities, it's massive the impact it has. And therefore, they're, way behind then in terms of, cognitive ability and be able to then, it's just horrendous, the impact that it kind of has. But I don't think people appreciate it to the degree that it is.
Even the generational trauma that gets passed on at that cellular level to, that instinctive level, and, having, a family that, immigrated to the US and lived on the poverty line on both sides for so long. And then, having, the way that I look at money and the way that I look at income and the way I panic if I can, we're doing pretty good, but if I'll panic if I can see something potentially uncertain down the pathway, and I'll be like, I'm grabbing all my agency that I've got and I'm taking decisions into my own hand, and we're gonna deal with this uncertainty our way, because autonomy kicks in, certainty kicks in, fairness kicks in, and generational trauma is really interesting. When you overlay that on workplace change, it's fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the models that I know that you like, the safety model, which is kind of the scarf with some other bits and pieces, the U part going into that. Which is why for you.
Y stands for you. Why are you?
And I think that's really important, because if you're a leader and you're showing this compassion, the fact that somebody may be coming from a round of redundancies or impacts in their family that you're not aware of, or on the back of the side of, or they're trying to break, a domestic
Cycle,
violence or whatever. You like all of that then goes into this change. That means that you could operate exactly the same with that person, exactly the same with 3 or 4 other people, but the reactions, the impact that's going to have, very individual.
Yeah.
So you kind of need to, and I think in my brain when you talk about organisational change. You actually don't change the organisation. It's every single individual.
Hundreds of thousands of individuals.
Yeah, that needs to actually make a decision to yes or no, go forward or backward, or to take a step, or to do the action, whatever the action might need to be, factoring all of that stuff in.
So not all change ends with redundancy.
Yeah.
It feels like a lot these days.
Yeah, it does feel like a lot.
The nature of the work you and I do. But there's a lot of interesting stuff happening that is still uncertain and scary for people. So WIIFM and that type of change. What are your thoughts on that one?
So a couple of ones that come to mind are like replacement of core systems. There's generally people that are like the experts in it. They know it in and out. It's little quirks, how it works. There was an example of an organisation where the only one that knew this old system was this one guy, right? And he was he used to drink, and he actually was convicted and went to jail for drunk driving. But it was good for him in that that's when he went shit, because he hurt somebody, and it really was a big wake-up call. But they'd have to go to the prison to be able to ask him how something was working. Like, it was like, that much. Yeah, no, this is like that kind of ingrained. This person's the only one that knew how these little quirks worked. But I've got other examples where people go, like, I know this system really well. When the new one comes in, I'm done. I'm out.
Yeah.
Because it took them quite a while to build that knowledge and skills and capability up to that point. They're like, I'm done. Yeah. I can't do that again.
Yeah.
So they're two examples where it's not redundancy, but where that uncertainty or the just the mountain of kind of where they got to learn the old system to that new system, they're just gone. I just can't. And
I think, if we look at in this day and age, there's so much happening. Like back in the day, there'd be like one big project or maybe two big projects happening in an organization at a time, and they would go for 3 to 5 years, and so there was never like this volume of complexity that we had to deal with like we deal with now. And I think if you look at just the volume, the pace, the uncertainty, on top of outside of work, the volume, the place, the complexity, the uncertainty of everything that's happening, the collective WDim is overwhelming for a lot of people. So what does it mean? Just answers questions, and sometimes what does it mean is, you've got to learn a new system, or you're going to have to show up to a town hall or user testing or something. Sometimes what does it mean is you need to move offices, or but also change desks and hot desk and book it and use a locker and all. Tell them everything. Don't let them fill in the blanks, because if they start talking to their mates and their mates work at a different organization and they're going to use their experience to extrapolate to our experience. So
I remember when this happened at X. This is what happened. Like that's
everybody suffered. Like, it was terrible.
People used to put jackets on their desks and they just leave there at night so they can park them.
Do that.
I might have done that too.
Might have done that. But people fill it. Whether it's a negative change or a positive change, people fill in the blanks. So what does it mean is like everything that they need to know in a way that they can consume it. Right? So a lot of people will say to me, but Jen, if I tell them everything, then they complain I'm over communicating. And I say, well, give them options. Say, if you want to learn more, here's all the information on the internet. Go and cater for the person who wants to know everything. And if you look at the scale of neurodivergence, there's people who need way more information than people who don't need all the information. Some people are, they're pretty easy going, like, I'll work it out when we get there, no worries. Or I'm just going to ignore it and I'll deal with it on the day. Whereas other people need way more information up front. Put all of that on the internet, making it accessible. Do what do I need to know now, next, and later, or
Yeah.
ready, set, go,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff, so that they can self-select and go, oh, this is really important for me to understand. I'm going to dig deeper and I'm going to click
Yeah.
the link, and get them into a rhythm around
Yeah.
communication that they could actually then self-select, obviously, the topics of interest, and ones that they want to learn more about.
Yeah. And I love the framing of the now, next, later, ready, set, go, whatever the process is, because it actually chunks the information a little bit and makes it a bit more digestible rather than going, here is every single thing that you needed to know in the entire world.
Yeah.
And as you said, you can go get every single thing you need to know in the entire world. As we also know, not always do we have all of the answers.
Yes.
at the
It
time.
could be a coming soon page.
Yeah, it could be some of the stuff that's going to be revealed a little bit later. So
Yeah.
it chunks the information up, it makes it a little bit more helpful. But I also think one of the undervalued thing is like a visualization, something that
Yes.
just shows what it looks like in a picture. So what does it mean in some sort of a pictorial form can kind of help with that as well in terms of just processing with, as you said, all of the changes, like massive changes happening in an organisation, let alone all of the changes that are happening in my life. I kind of go, oh, okay, it's 3 steps, 6 steps, 10 steps, whatever the thing is. It just kind of helps me. Horizon 1, Horizon 2, Horizon 3.
Yeah. Like, what do I need to know today?
Yeah.
Versus what is coming later that I can deal with when I've got time or headspace or something.
Yeah. Which also probably goes back to the point that you don't want to communicate to them if there's literally nothing they can do about it now. So, in
pick your timing.
6 months' time, we're going to need you to do X. Great, cool. Can you tell me in 2 months' time?
Tell me when it's relevant. Yeah.
Like,
don't waste my time.
Yeah.
By telling me stuff that's not relevant, now or that's way too early. But
the other thing that reminded me of as well is some sort of sometimes like a little checklist or something. So you can use the key kind of critical milestones as like a business readiness check. Have you been to the office location? Have you checked your transport? If we use that as an example as to how you're going to get there. Have we, have you worked out, where you're going to take the stuff that's currently sitting on your desk? Like, just sort of some steps that they can go, oh yeah, I've done that. They can kind of know what that looks like in terms of a, business readiness measures.
Well, it's interesting because they've been getting like these little dopamine and oxytocin bursts from, I'm doing this and I'm doing that and I met with that person. So they're getting their hormone hits at the same time as ticking off their to-do list, right?
Yeah, definitely. I find it super effective when you can get the ones right. So some of them can be so lame that you're like, oh, what? Like you read the intranet page. Seriously?
Yeah.
I'm not reading that.
Too
long, done.
I looked at it, I opened it.
Yeah, exactly. When they go, did you read the terms and conditions? Yes, I did.
Yep.
When they make you scroll.
Exactly.
You're like, look, everyone knows no one's going to read it, but sure, I'll scroll it to the end.
Like, you actually have to click the link to open the document, and then you can just go back and tick that you've done it. This is a lot of compliance training.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. I opened that document. Did I read it? Did I like it? I'm not confessing to anything. But you could do that if you wanted to game the system.
Yeah, you could. But it does make it a little bit easier for what does it mean?
Yes.
What does it mean? It means you need to do this. So it kind of makes that whole process a little bit easier.
Yeah.
So WDIM. We could totally do this. Completely change the entire industry.
Absolutely. We're gonna
WDIM.
This.
I like it. Anything else you want to add about WDIM? Or what's in it for me?
I think that's good.
The only elements that may be worthwhile noting, that's just sprung to my mind, so I'll say it and then we can work out if it's relevant or not, is around, so the toward and away, we touched on that before. There is some people that are more naturally inclined towards the toward, and some people that are more naturally inclined towards an away. So if I use exercise as an example, some people, they'll exercise because they're committed to their friends are going to pay $5,000 if they don't do it. That's an away response, whereas a toward might be, I don't know, I can go on a holiday or buy something that I really want. So you can kind of use the different bits and pieces. So people are naturally inclined.
Yeah.
So forcing somebody to go into the what's in it for me
Yeah.
also means that you're actually betraying that kind of natural inclination in the way that they kind of process information. They might want the other way, like, what do I need to do to prevent something from happening? Also.
I was facilitating training recently, and I'm trying to remember where the statistic came from, but it said 95% of humans will eventually change to whatever it is you want them to change. So the division of innovation curve, there's early adopters, there's the chasm, and then there's the majority, late, early, late, and then there's the laggards, and then there's this tiny 5% who don't change. And there's usually a very valid reason for that. Sometimes it's something like dementia. Their brain can't learn it. They can't make those new connections. Sometimes it's unethical for them, and they opt out. And that's a totally. We used to, at the change curve, we used to put in S-bends. People will opt out. That's okay. That's fine, right? Okay. That's their choice. It's called agency. We've all but so the 5%, like, and oftentimes we cater for the 5% that are like great and happy and excited, and forget about not just the early and late majority, but the laggards that take a long time to get there, when they're probably the ones who need some attention as well. Because
even if that attention doesn't even work. So to give you an example, Trev's mum wanted a dial phone. Okay, dial phone. They don't make dial phones. Didn't make dial phones. We're like, we can't get you a dial phone. I only want a dial phone. But they don't actually make it. So we can't even get one to replace you. You have to have the button, no, I refuse. Very, very tense conversation. Okay, we cannot get you. It doesn't exist anymore. The kind of process, it was very, very interesting and change perspective to just watch.
Absolutely.
And Trevor's steam's coming out of his ears. So, well, let's put it there and just get it to use.
The other thing that you touched on, and there were obviously there are two things, and now I couldn't remember what they were. So that was one of them. The other one was chunking.
Yeah.
So were you in the session where we were talking about the word chunking?
It's a terrible word.
This can mean so many things. So in some languages, chunking means you bundle it like up.
Oh.
Right? Whereas in Australia, we
break it down.
We break it down. So, like, is it bundling up or is it chunking down? Like, what? Like, is it taking something big and making it into smaller bits, or is it taking smaller bits and putting them into bigger bits?
Yeah. So it's probably a bit of both.
That chunking made me think
definitely, because it is a little bit of both. So sometimes you need to go, actually these are similar changes, so let's put those together, kind of bucket them around the same stuff. So it could be I don't know, I'm in the office, office behaviour or something could be like bucketed there, and the other could be to and from, like you could kind of bucket them, but you're right, you kind of bring them up, you create the synergies across them so that it makes it easier for people to digest it. To then the other one where you go, actually, there's 60 million steps.
And here's everything that you need.
Yeah, let's break them down into ones that make it a little digestible and easy. And as you said, they get that dopamine hit every time you go, achieve that.
So language, interesting.
Very interesting. I hadn't thought of that, but you're right. You can bring it up or bring it down.
Yeah.
Cool. So, WDim. Is it a wrap on WDim? Is that what I thought you wanted to share?
I think it's a wrap, I'm sure there's, I can wax lyrical for hours, which probably worked out. But I think that's a wrap. So WDIM, there isn't always a WIIFM, but there's always a WDIM.
There is always a WDIM, but not always a WIIFM.
Not always a WIIFM.
Yeah.
Go forth and
communicate. Yeah. Let it be the new.
Fantastic.
I'd love their thoughts anyway on it.
I would love thoughts on it, And have you, where have you seen a fabricated WIIFM? And what has that done, resulted in, versus the authenticity of transparency of a WDIM, and what has that resulted in?
It did remind me of something where I took the break fix experts and turned them into technical consultants. So there's a couple of elements to that. What's in it for them was obviously learning new skills that could be applicable.
Yeah.
Whether they would remain with the organisation or what they didn't. So that was obviously something that was of benefit to them. But it was a matter of actually doing it person by person.
Yeah.
So the very first time they do it, I'm like, I'll come with you. I won't interrupt. So you do the thing. Here's the templates. Here's the process. Here's the stuff. We'll do practice. I'm like, I'll come with you. And then afterwards I'll, say, could have done this, could have done that, could have done this.
Yeah. Like a coaching kind of.
Yeah, like
yeah.
True coaching scenario. But like I need to be in there because I need to hear, blah, blah, blah. But it was literally, I need you to just do one. Like, just do one. Then we'll see.
Yeah.
And then if you decide you never ever want to do it again, like that wasn't kind of the agreement, but it was like, all I need you to do is one and just see. Let's then feedback and how'd it go, blah, blah, blah. It was really, that was a very good example of you need to make it where they are.
Yeah.
Some of them embraced it, took off, should have been doing it forever.
Yeah.
But others were like really kind of like, I don't know if I can do this.
Yeah, it's confronting for them.
Yeah, very confronting. They all did it. They're all fine with it. Like they all were able to do it. One of the proudest moments of my career, actually, seeing that process happen. So it was hard work because they did not believe me at the beginning that it would work.
And if you just put a positive WIIFM spin on it, they would have been like, bugger off, Christina.
Yeah. And there wouldn't have been enough because we needed to show them, here are the templates and here is the process and here is how you do it and here's a role play.
And when you need real behavior change.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, and it just reminded me, it jumped in my head. So WDIM.
WDIM.
Better than WIIFM any day.
Better than WIIFM. WDIM is the new black.
New black! You're hilarious. Nothing's a new black. But yeah, WDIM. What does it mean?
What does it mean?
Simple.